So hello everyone, and I want to provide some more content on futures and options. So this is from another one of my books, and this is called the authors of Burke and DeMarzo, and there's about 102 slides here. So I'll try to cover some of the high points on them. I won't do all 100, but so I just want to go over some of this stuff with you. So some of this is a repeat, but so let's go over this. So a financial option is again, these are contracts, and there's always an underlying asset. So the first thing I want to say is it gives you the right to buy or sell, purchase or buy or sell an asset at a fixed price at some future date. And this should be say at a fixed price at, so I'm sorry about that. Let me fix that. At some future date and time. All right, so now when you buy these, when you first purchase this contract, you have to select a strike price at which you're willing to buy them at, the underlying at. Okay. So for a stock contract, I just want to make the first point that's important. A stock, if you buy a call or a put option on a stock, the size of the contract is 100 shares. So say you bought a call option on IBM, the underlying would be 100 shares, and you would have selected a strike price. And here's the way this goes. Let's say the strike price you selected was 50. Okay. And let's say the stock price was 40. Right? The current stock price. Now, you would not, obviously, you wouldn't exercise the call and buy stock that's selling for 40 for $50, right? However, you bought it that way because it's out of the money, so you got to wait for the stock to go up high, but you pay a cheaper premium. Okay, you're going to pay a cheaper premium for that. Okay. So you pay a cheaper premium, and then let's say now, remember what we said, your strike price is 50, and now all of a sudden the stock price goes from 40 to 70. So now basically, you now have the right to buy a share that's worth 70 for $50. So you can see you have an instant gain, right? You have intrinsic value because you have something you can buy for 50 that's really worth 70. Okay, so that's a really, really good deal, right? Now, as I previously mentioned, you have two choices. You could either exercise that contract and take those 100 shares, right, that are worth 70 and pay 50 for them and immediately sell the shares and make money, but you don't have to do that. What you can do is you can basically sell the contract. And if you sell the contract, it's even got more worth because not only is it got the intrinsic value built in, but it's also got a piece of the premium called time value. Okay? And time value means that the contract can go up in price based on the fact that there's more time for the stock to go up. Okay? So the best deal you can probably have is to sell the contract as opposed to exercising it and taking those shares. All right, that's a call option. Remember, for a call option, you always want the shares to go up to make money. And, all right, so here's a call option, a financial option that gives its owner the right to buy an asset and hopefully make money if the underlying shares go up. Okay? So that's an important point here. All right, now just the opposite is a put option, right? A put option is you make money if the shares go down. But it's the same concept It's the same concept as far as having a strike price and basically having 100 shares underneath it. Now, 100 shares is only for stocks. Other option contracts have different things built in, like if you have an index, the S&P or the Dow Jones interest, they'll have different underlying components, right? So you always have to study the contract and figure out, and of course the premiums will always have different prices, okay? Based on time and based on current stock price, and whether it's in the money, out of the money, or at the money. At the money means the stock and the strike are exactly the same point. So a $50 strike and a $50 stock price currently, you're at the money, okay? Now, if you're going to buy a call or a put, for every one person who buys a call or a put, there's got to be someone who's selling a call or a put, right? It's a zero-sum game. You can't buy something unless someone's selling it, and the seller is called either the option seller or the option writer, okay? So here's the guy who's selling the contract that you want to buy. Now, why is it in this guy's interest to sell a contract? He's got to be getting something for it, right? And what is he getting for it? He's getting the premium that you're paying up here when you bought it. So he's collecting premiums, and he's banking on the fact that the stock isn't going to move, and he's going to sit and collect premiums. All right. So that is how that works, right? For every buyer, there's a seller. Okay. It's a zero-sum game. Okay. So as I said, you can exercise the option, and if the buyer enforces the agreement and buys or sells the underlying stock at the agreed upon price, he's exercising the option, okay? So that's exercising it. Remember, he's taken the underlying. So I don't know why this is always so touchy, but I got to try to fix it. All right, now, as I said already, there's a strike price or an exercise price, both mean the same meaning, that you would buy this at, and this is the price at which an option holder buys or sells a share of stock when the option is exercised, okay? So like I said, in the previous discussion we had, I said the strike price was 50 and the stock goes up to 70, and that's a wonderful thing because now you can buy $70 stock for $50, all right? The next thing is the option always expires. Most of them are like 3-month contracts, but you can get a 1-year or a 2-year contract called leaps, but you're going to pay a higher premium for that, right? Remember that. The longer it goes on, the more chance you have to make money, so you're going to basically pay a higher premium, all right? So that's an important concept, all right? All right, so here's a couple more terms that are associated with options. And I mentioned this before, but an American option and a European option, and they have nothing to do with the actual locations that they're specified. This has nothing to do with America, and this has nothing to do with Europe. An American option means that if you basically had that option on IBM and the stock went up, you would be able to exercise it to buy the underlying at any date up to that expiration date. Now, a European option only allows you to exercise that option on the expiration date, all right? So that makes this premium cheaper. A lot of people buy it because it's a cheaper option, all right? It's a cheaper option. So actually they say it right here. The American and European have nothing to do with the location, all right? So those are just two names they give, and it's all a function of when you could exercise them. However, either of these could be sold. You could sell these options at any date. It's just when you want to exercise them, okay? That's the only difference. All right, so the option buyer or the holder holds the right to exercise the option and take the underlying and has a long position in the contract. Remember, long, right? You're a buyer, you're long. The seller or the writer he writes the object and has a short position, and he's completely obligated. So if the long position says, I want to buy that underlying stock, the writer better make sure he can come up with that stock, because if he doesn't, he'll default, okay? So he's obligated. He has no obligation. He has a right. This guy has a right, and the writer has an obligation, okay? And again, as I said before, the writer basically collects premiums, right? So the buyer is going to collect a premium for writing that contract, and he's hoping, again, the stock doesn't go anywhere, okay? He's basically hoping the stock stays where it is. All right, so normally stock options are traded on organized exchanges, okay, and they have set expirations times after that contract is ready to expire. And open interest means the total number of contracts of a particular option that have been written. So that's called open interest, right? The number of contracts out there. So you can see here's a nice table, and this shows some contracts that are available for eBay, right? And here is the bid and ask on the premium. You multiply that by 100 to get the premium, right? And you can clearly see here here's the bid and ask. And for different sizes here. So up here is the actual stock itself, right? The bid and the ask for the stock. You see that right there? This is the actual stock price. All right. And over here, you'll notice here's the strike prices. You see right down here, the different strike prices. All right. And this is the premium you would pay whether you're buying or selling. All right. And here's the number of contracts available. Whoops. So anyway, so here's the terms we talked about before. If you're ahead of the, if your strike price is below the current stock price, you're at the money. If they're equal, you're right at the money. So a $50 share and a $50 strike price puts you right at the money. And again, now if your stock is well above your strike, that you can buy it for a cheaper price than it's worth, you're in the money. And out of the money is when you bought paid a cheap premium, and the stock is below your strike. You wouldn't pay more for a stock that is right below your strike. So these are the terms associated with. All right, deep in the money means you're way in the money, right? That your strike is well below the current stock price. So for instance, if you bought Apple at $20 a share, right? And if it was worth $20 a share, and you had a strike price on Apple for $30, and then the stock went up to 100, right? You're deep in the money. You can buy a $100 share for $20 a share, and it's just the opposite for if you're way out of the money. All right, if you're way out of the money, you'll pay a really low premium. Okay, and that's an important concept there. Okay, that's an important concept. So here's an interesting problem, an example from your book on purchasing options. So it's September 10th, 2018, and you have decided to purchase 10 January call contracts. Now, if you're going to purchase 10 contracts and each one's worth 100, you're controlling 1,000 shares, right? And the strike price is 35. Because you are buying, you must pay the ask price, right? So you got to pay the ask price on your premium. So how much money will this purchase cost you? And is this option in the money or out of the money, right? So we have to look at what the current eBay price is. So it was on that table. If I could get this to go. So the ask price of this option is $1.66. You're purchasing 10 contracts and each contract is on 100 shares. So you can see the transaction is going to cost you $1,660 for 10 contracts with 100 shares each. And of course, you're going to pay commission, right? Also. So because this is a call option and the strike price is above the current stock price, you're out of the money. Now, if it was in the money, you'd be paying more. Okay? You'd be paying more. So that's a typical example of how these contracts work. All right. All right. So what I'll do is I'll make a part 2 on these slides because I'm up to about almost 16 minutes. All right. And alrighty. So I'll continue on a second part.